Good morning, people, my wonderful teens of the world. Age and maturity series is continuing now in this podcast. And what are we discussing? What are we really talking about when we say age and maturity? Well, maturity can be in many fronts. You might just be aging in physical age. You might be aging and maturing in the mind, in the emotions, in your spiritual body. So many things are there, right? So in this one, we are going to talk about your teens, you teenagers. Yes. So beautiful, wonderful teens, wild times, right? I remember mine. So we'll talk about teens and what makes teenagers the way they are everywhere. Okay. And there's a reason for it. Astrologically, there's a reason for it in your chart. Why teenagers are the way they are. And we are talking about the 13 to 24. Remember, we are talking in 12-year cycles. And according to Vedic astrology, what happens? What is happening in everyone's chart? This is irrespective. Okay? This is nothing to do with just ascendants. Yes, we will come to the ascendants, but now we are talking about generic, worldwide, 7 billion people. Okay? 13 to 24 years of age. That's a very critical time in everyone's life. So what happens during that period is what we are going to explore here. If you haven't already liked, shared, subscribed, do so now. There's a button also which floats around, indicates that. All this hi-fi stuff. I'm kind of learning there. But we'll get to that. I'll start a podcast now with a very brief presentation. I'm trying to keep it not boring. You know, we all went through boring teaching, boring presentations. I don't want to make this a boring thing. It should be interesting, right? See you in the presentation on the other side. So let's jump right in, okay? What happens during 13 to 24 years? Now, you can see in the slide, the houses 1 to 12, we have put in numbers from 13, 14, 15, all the way till 24, which goes in the 12th house. So broadly speaking, what happens in this age group? Well, 9th house matures, 9th house of wisdom, which we spoke of in the previous one. If you do not know what that is, check out the link above, which is the playlist of advanced astrology, evolutionary astrology. Okay, so what happens? Well, a couple of things are happening as we can see. First, by the time you're 24, 9th house matures. Okay? But another very interesting thing is happening which defines you as a teenager. It defines you. All teenagers go through this cycle. It's not just about hormones here. It's about planetary stuff as well. What happens? Well, Jupiter starts maturing from the age of 15, which for everyone, all ascendants, happens to be in the 3rd house. Okay? All ascendants. So at this time, when a person turns 15, Jupiter starts its maturity as a planet. We'll talk about more of that, what that means, okay? In the future slides, we'll talk about it. But Jupiter is a planet. What happens? I've just put in very briefly here. It starts to mature. What does it mean? You will be expanding. Jupiter is about expansion, okay? Expanding in terms of your thought, in terms of your emotion, in terms of your knowledge. You just kind of receive everything from the world. You're kind of opening up to the world all of a sudden like that, okay? Ideas of life, needing a wild, exciting time. Guess where teenagers get this from? From Jupiter. The planet Jupiter is about expansion. So you want wild, exciting time all the time. While this is happening, your 9th house is still maturing. So you're gaining, you're translating, or the person is translating into their thoughts, their feelings, their emotions, everything that is happening around them, their family, their friends, the school. They are in the school at that time. We are talking about relating to a particular time frame here. They are going to receive everything and translate it as this is the way world is. This is the world for me or for them, right? You know what I mean? So this is the way world interacts with me. If I'm a teen, I'll be thinking, okay, this is why my parents are like this. My friend is like this. My teachers are like this. Or teacher ABCD is like this. We are gaining all of this stuff from the time we are 15, till the time we are 20. Now, Jupiter will spend 1 year in each house. This is 15 years old. Maturity of Jupiter starts. That yellow thing is the symbol of Jupiter, which is used in astrology, okay? Looks like a 4, I know, or looks like a sickle with the top. Why? Because Jupiter stands for harvesting, but that's another topic. So 15 years in the third house, 16 years in the fourth house, 17, 18, 19, so on. So 20th year will be in the eighth house. Okay. Now 1 year in each house. So what does it mean? Who is this going to be most significant for? From the ascendant perspective. Okay, from the ascendant perspective, this is going to be most significant for, well, you guessed it, for the Lord of the ascendant, which is ruled by Jupiter, which means Sagittarius and Pisces. Two signs in Vedic astrology are ruled by Jupiter in the ascendant. In the ascendant means in the head, in the self. Okay. So Pisces and Sagittarius will be the most affected by this particular transit or maturity of the planet Jupiter. Not to say that others are not affected, because everybody has Jupiter in their chart, but that depends upon where the Jupiter is placed. That's the whole personal evaluation. We are talking general here, okay? So Jupiter starts maturing at 15. Now at 15, why is it in the third house? Okay, in the third house, it's for skills. It's for education and skills. What is a person doing at 15 years old? They are in school. They are in the middle school, right? Okay, something like that. They are in the school. All these years are schooling years and early college years, okay? Early grad years, graduation years. So at 18, typically they enter graduation and some kind of college degree. So 18, 19, 20. So the last 3 years of Jupiter maturity will be in the college. Guess what they're learning in the college? They are learning about university education. They are either becoming engineers, doctors, lawyers, you name it, art students, liberal arts, whatever it is. So Jupiter, when it enters this, now you got to understand, we'll discuss in the last slide the energy of Jupiter and how it affects each one. And the ascendants, we will do it later. But right now we are focusing on Jupiter as the energy of a planet. Jupiter likes expansion. Jupiter wants to gift you things. It wants to give you the knowledge. It wants to give you the freedom to express. That's why teenagers want always freedom. They're always rebellious. Jupiter is rebellious. Well, Saturn is more, but Jupiter also. So third house represents skill. So first 15th year, they are always looking at skills. You might want to look at skills. If you're a teen watching this, refine your skills. Jupiter is helping you do that. Okay. This is mainly for you teenagers. So the fourth house represents the heart matters, the emotional matters. Home and family, mother. The heart, matters of the heart. What is your emotional connect to the world? That happens at 16, the sweet 16. That happens, okay? So when you're 16 years old, think about the matters of the heart. All ascendants, everyone. This helps you, all teens. In fifth house, when you're 17 years old, it's the house of education. So now, when you're 17 years old, what is a person doing? They're thinking about college. They're thinking about entering into the college. So that helps there. Start thinking about education and college when you're 17 years old. Seriously planning out your career path in life. At 18 years, it enters the sixth house. Sixth house is of daily work. Also enemies, but we'll talk about work here because Jupiter likes to expand. Jupiter likes to see things in a positive light. Okay? Everything in a positive light. Sixth house is of daily work, daily routines. So you got to start thinking this year about routines and daily routines. Seventh house, well, guess what? Seventh house is for spouses, your better half. So in this time, you'll start thinking 19 and 20, both are for marriage and spouse and that kind of thing. But you're not getting close to anywhere during marriageable age, depending upon which culture you are. But you might, can never say. Different countries, different rules, right? But this is when you are considering thinking in terms of evaluating in terms of spouse, evaluating in terms of intimate relationships with the other gender, right? So you're thinking in terms of that. So kind of a maturity in that aspect brings about maturity. Jupiter, wherever it transits, it is transiting from house number 3 to house number 8 in these years, 15 to 20. Wherever it transits, it brings about wisdom, definitely it'll bring wisdom, one way or the other, through hardship or through your own conscious learning, which is what the purpose of these things are, and it wants to gift you. Well, how do you handle these years? Let's see. Remember this particular slide from the New Human Being playlist? If you don't, check out the link above. I posted the card for that, okay? So this is a slide from there. Now, how is the planetary stuff? Now we are tying lots of things together here, okay? So I'm tying the transition of Jupiter maturity in every chart, which we just saw, into this particular slide. So in this slide, what did we talk about? Long story short, the blue circle in the center is you. That's what a human being is. The nature of the being. See more on the playlist above. Compassion, love, balance, knowledge, understanding, and beauty. These are the qualities of your being. If you say human being, what do you mean? That's what you mean. That's what every one of us of 7 billion are. Now the outer circles, the purple circles, are the action which we do, which we take, which we create. We create actions. Okay? So this is the human actions, the purple circles. The blue circle in the center is you, who you are. Throughout life, you'll be taking these 4 actions. Doesn't matter what you do. Either you will create, or you'll engage, or you'll regenerate, or you'll expand. Now, if you want more, check out that playlist. I'm not going to go into the details here. We are talking about Jupiter, where it is touching. Which aspects? From 15 to 24. It is touching these 2 circles, which I have circled in yellow. Yellow is a symbol for Jupiter. Also, yellow sapphire is the stone for Jupiter, by the way. So, Jupiter is touching the expansion. Remember, we spoke of expansion. So, it's expanding all areas of your life suddenly. And even your hormonal structure, that kicks in everything. It opens up all levels of the being. Getting you ready for the next stage of life, right? So, expansion. Jupiter will expand here. It also wants to engage with people. That's why teenagers always want to be lost in the world of friends. Aren't you lost in the world of friends? Always wanting to friends, movies, dancing, clubbing, God knows what not, right? So Jupiter will touch these 2 areas of life for all you teens, okay? Expand and engage. So you're constantly engaging with friends. You're constantly expanding in all areas. Everything in the blue circle, you're expanding because that's who you are. What they have troubles with, teens, is they don't do the other 2 circles. That's why they kind of seem wild to everyone. It's just a growth phase, of course. We all go through it. But this is why they seem wild. I want you to understand why you feel wild. Why everybody around you, your elders, look at you as a wild creature. Right? Okay. Because you're not regenerating and you're not creating anything. Remember, 2 parts of the human action you're missing. Only if you have all 4 of the purple circles, you really feel complete as a human being. Otherwise, you don't. Nobody does. We all are built this way. Okay, I'm just sharing how we are built. Regenerate. No wonder teenagers go through from morning, the time they get up, by the time they go to bed, they're so bushed out, they're so exhausted mentally, emotionally, physically. They just plonk and go to sleep. They sleep for long hours. Mums and dads know this, how much the teenagers in their house sleep. They want to sleep all the time. Or they are constantly expanding and engaging. One of these 2. And they don't create anything. It's like perhaps chaos, I'm sorry. So you need to create something. Well, what can you create? You create compassion, love, balance, knowledge, understanding. You create and you become creators. Make something. Make a dance form, make an art form. Study some knowledge. Create something. A podcast like this. Learn to have that creation ability, cultivate in these Jupiter years. It will help you throughout your life. Not just the small phase of 5 years, 15 to 20. No, it will help you throughout your life. So what do you teens need to do? You need to engage in the top circle, the create, and the bottom one, regenerate. You do more of this, it will give you more balanced approach. That's why I presented this slide. It had to be tied into that. Okay. So what is Jupiter? Remember what Jupiter desires. Again, look at this link I have posted above. What is the planetary energies? Okay. So Jupiter is the teacher. Look at all these keywords. You need to keep these keywords in mind. He's a strategist. He's a teacher. This is the energy that Jupiter provides as a planet to everyone. He's a strategist, a teacher, extravagant. He's an adventurer, acquirer. He's a director, like the director of the movies, of knowledge, teachings, wealth as finance and children. Commands respect, authority through true knowledge and wisdom. Whatever Jupiter is teaching you, it will teach you through real life. Okay? Depending upon how all the ascendants are, it will teach you through your friendships, through your mistakes, whatever you make, through your parents, friends and family, through all your surroundings. Seeking expansion of qualities by any house it sits in. So it depends upon which house Jupiter is sitting in your particular horoscope or birth chart. It is benefic even to the most negative houses like 6th house, 8th and 12th are kind of considered negative or malefic. I don't think so, but yeah, this is what it generally brings. Okay. Jupiter wants to give you wisdom, it wants to give you values, it wants to keep up tradition and culture. It is into seeking knowledge, expansion, travel and adventure. Guess what all teens want? Pick any one of those. Knowledge maybe not so much, but they definitely want travel and adventure, right? So this is what Jupiter seeks to do in your life.